So this video is going to concentrate on a basic question of do you even need a teacher? And I think Alan put it very well when he said, when someone asked him, do you need a guru? He said, well, if you think you do, you probably do. And I think that probably sums up the whole video, but I'm going to go into a little bit more depth because I think we're at a really strange time now because you're going on social media and this is unprecedented. It's like the buffet has expanded thousandfold and you have so many people to choose from. And I think it is kind of important to consider and be mindful that you're the one choosing. That when you're looking through all this, you're the one deciding who to listen to, and you're giving them that kind of authority in the first place, and your time, and you're ignoring others. So it's like that buffet where you're choosing what to absorb, and so you're totally active in all of this. So it's not like some kind of teacher student where teacher says and the student does. I think it's far more interactive. Another thing about the teacher situation, particularly now, is the ad hominem element, and that might be particularly, relevant to me because I always talk about Alan Watts being my main teacher, and of course, Alan very likely did drink and smoke himself into an early death, and very often that's the first thing that comes up when I tell people I'm into Alan Watts, and then they say, well, if he was so insightful, if he was so enlightened, why would he choose the life that he actually chose? And my response is usually, well, if he was so enlightened, why wouldn't he choose the life that he had chosen? So I really think you can kind of turn it back on that. But in the end, I really don't think it matters. And that's so when we talk about an ad hominem, that's an argument against the person. And it's our inability to distinguish the message from the messenger. And the reason this is so important is because I'm on 200 videos now and got a couple books and I don't come up with any of this stuff. I'll just be on a walk and it just, pops into the thinking mind from a mysterious place. And then I decide to go do a video or write about it. And I think that's the way it is with anyone who's doing a teaching situation. Their personal identity has nothing to do with it. They're just, this character I call Chris is just a secretary who takes notes and writes things down and tries to get the technology to work behind the scenes. And I have nothing to do with any of the insights. And in that respect, I think that holds for all the teachers. So when you see um, you know, the character, the ego come up from time to time. There's a wonderful little clip of Richard Dawkins and Deepak Chopra, and Deepak you could just see he got he's just obviously upset. And you say, well, you're Deepak. How could you possibly get upset? Forgetting all the time that, Deepak, the character, is just a human being. Just like Chris, the character, is just a human being. And, to confuse the human with the message that comes from these mysterious places, I just think that is something we should really reflect on, because when you're picking a teacher out, you're really picking the teachings. You're not really picking the teacher. And that's why, Alan could have drank as much as he could have smoked, and teachers, to me, it really isn't as important as what the teaching is. And the reason I think that is a really important lesson is because, if you're watching this, you're probably into this no self philosophy to some degree. This idea that the voice in the head isn't who you are, and that this personal identity that's created by culture is just an illusion. So this character, Chris, that's just an illusion of sorts, a useful one at times. Well, that also holds for the other person. So the character Deepak or the character Rupert Spira, they're all these characters. I mean, they're not real either. And so when we talk about enlightenment, the best definition I found to be useful is when you you distinguish yourself, your true identity, from this ego identity. And that's the trick. The ego can't become enlightened because enlightenment is actually the experience beyond that culturally conditioned self. And if that's true for me, then why would I ever expect it not to be true for my teacher.